Selkirk Labs' new project Boomstik is something I've been waiting for since PPA Worlds last year when I was first able to get my hands on a prototype. With a few more adjustments, months of testing, and some new technology, it's finally been released. But is the power really worth the hype and the high price tag? In this video, we will dive into the specs and my thoughts on the project Boomstik. But before we do that, it would mean a lot if you could hit that subscribe button down below, as it greatly helps the growth of my channel. And with that out of the way, let's jump into some specs. The Project Boomstik is offered in two shapes: Selkirk's new wide body design and elongated design. The surface type on this paddle is a spray-on surface that Selkirk developed in-house, which they call Infinigrit. I would definitely classify the Project Boomstik as a power paddle. Both of these paddles are 16 millimeters in thickness. The Boomstik features a foam core design that contains an EPP foam core with EVA foam fully surrounding the core, similar to that of Gen 3 design paddles. The grip length on the wide body is 5.6 inches, and on the elongated, it is 5.8 inches. The swing weight on the wide body came in at 115 for my unit, with a twist weight of 8.2 and a static weight of 8.3 ounces. My elongated shape came in with a swing weight of 119, a twist weight of 6.9, and a static weight of 8.4 ounces. Selkirk Labs is offering a limited lifetime warranty on the Project Boomstik. And lastly, the retail price of the Boomstik is $333. I'll just start out and very bluntly say this: this paddle slaps. Selkirk's new Project Boomstik is one, if not of the hardest hitting paddles on the market today. And with that, you may be worried about control. But the reality is, this core design plays very similar to a floating core poly honeycomb design. Meaning, if you love the power and forgiveness of Gen 3 style paddles, then the Boomstik is going to feel very familiar to you. While playtesting this paddle, I noticed the amount of aces I would get off my serve went up substantially. I definitely could see the extra pace this paddle helps provide. Not to mention, the sweet spot on both of these shapes is fantastic, and largely due to the MOI Tuning System added by Selkirk on 3 and 9 o'clock on the perimeter of this paddle. This MOI system leads to a very high twist weight, but I'll have more thoughts on this weighting system later in this video. Now, where I ran into some issues with this paddle is with the pop. This seems to be a common trend for hyper power paddles with a foam core, as we also saw this on the Body Helix Flick paddle and an unreleased paddle that some of you may have seen on my Instagram story that I've been helping playtest. The benefits of this higher pop are faster counters at the net with smaller swings, but the downsides are those random pop-ups when dinking or hitting drops on balls that come at you with pace. It really comes down to preference and play style. If you like fast and poppy paddles, then you will have no issue with the Boomstik. But if you already struggle to keep the ball down, this will be a paddle that is very, very likely to be difficult to control for you. Lastly, Selkirk elected to use Infinigrit on the surface of this paddle, which they developed in-house. It's a spray-on grit that Selkirk claims to last 3 times longer than carbon fiber face paddles. While this claim may be bold, I might believe them. I playtested the Lab 007 a while back, where this surface type was first introduced, and despite the small sweet spot on those paddles, the spin did seem to last. And now, with the help of a friend playtesting the new Lux with this surface, after 3 months, the spin also seems to be on par and exactly where it should be when compared to a carbon fiber paddle. So unlike the previously very popular Power Air, where the spray-on grit would last maybe 2 weeks, this new surface is proving to be much more durable. However, one note of extreme caution is on the Infinigrit surface, do not use carbon erasers to clean this surface, as this will damage it. Selkirk recommends using a slightly damp cloth to help clean out debris on the paddle surface that may have been picked up from the ball while playing. Overall, I have been very impressed with the Infinigrit surface from Selkirk, and while I can't verify their claims as how long it might last, in my playtesting, it is at worst the same as carbon fiber. Now, this opinion may be unpopular, but I personally think that where these paddles stand when stock, the Era is a better paddle at a much better price. The Era, in my opinion, was the best paddle Selkirk had released in a very, very long time, and I think it's one of the best options on the market for those who love Gen 3 paddles. The Era doesn't have the same high-end power and pop that the Boomstik has, but it comes in at a lower static weight, it's $130 cheaper, and the feel should be much more familiar to the average rec player. I just think the Era is a better all-around power paddle. It delivers great power, good dwell, solid spin, and its power is just much more controllable in my experience than the Boomstik. However, if all you care about is that high-end power and pop, or maybe you are a high-level player that doesn't see a price tag, then the Boomstik might be more appealing to you. You might also value that the Project Boomstik is made in the USA, while the SLK Era is not. And that's valid. But outside of the limited lifetime warranty on the Boomstik versus the limited 1-year warranty on the Era, I personally would still choose the Era as these paddles currently stand right out of the box. So this might also be a very unpopular opinion, especially in the reviewer community, but I am not the biggest fan of the weight setup on the Project Boomstik. When we first got pictures of the Boomstik, I assumed that those weights on the perimeter, as seen here, would be semi-removable or would slide. I do know that there are some rules against this on the PPA Tour, so this is likely a big reason, on top of safety concerns, as to why these weights are permanent. Although I'm sure a lot of you will have the same thoughts that I had, but I would not recommend to try to remove these weights as it may damage your paddle and void the warranty. Also, in my experience, I have seen several edge guards loosen up when trying to do this. I do understand and appreciate that Selkirk decided on this weight setup due to how light this paddle would have been stock. But I think this decision just locks them in a really weird targeted zone. So yes, this paddle plays great stock, but the static weight of this paddle is higher than most people are used to. Now, an 8.4 static weight on the elongated isn't crazy for myself and certainly not for pros, but I know there's a lot of consumers that appreciate lighter paddles, not only for the customization factor, but also to minimize fatigue. And on the flip side, pros who like heavier paddles likely would not choose to put all of this weight exactly where it is located. 7.5 grams is just a lot for one small targeted spot. In my opinion, I believe a 4.5 gram weight would have been a better starting point to get this paddle closer to the 8 ounces while still maintaining a very good twist weight for an elongated paddle. I personally just feel this would have better served the mass market and even the pro scene better than the decision to add 15 grams total to the perimeter of this paddle in one focus spot on each side. I will be curious to see if Selkirk offers a lighter weight in the future, as well as to see which paddle the pros elect to use between the Boomstik or the Era. In summary, I think Selkirk has a winner on their hands. I personally do have several issues with this paddle, but there is no doubt in my mind that this paddle will be very popular due to its unique and high-end performance. I would recommend this paddle to anyone who loves new tech and high-end power paddles. Foam core paddles are still very new, but the Boomstik is certainly a top contender for best performance from a foam paddle on the market at the time of this video. I also would recommend the Boomstik to anyone who is tired of their $280 power paddle constantly breaking, as the $333 price tag, while very high, is much more appealing, assuming that extra $50 will get you a power paddle that lasts, while also including a much better warranty in most cases. I would not recommend the Boomstik to anyone who is price sensitive, as we will likely see cheaper alternatives that are similar in the future. Lastly, if you struggle to keep the ball down, this paddle is likely going to cause more trouble for you than good. Thank you all for watching my review on the Project Boomstik from Selkirk Labs. If you plan to buy one, I would love to hear why, and if you have any questions for me, I would love to read those down in the comments. Other than that, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.